good?
I'm good, yeah. Whenever I'll just leave my mic shut until Rush starts talking.
One of the lads there said he'd send you a text. Scary, did you get it? Yeah, you did that, and you did it well.
Yeah, I did.
Must be said.
It was good to see you moving around the pitch again.
Thanks. Probably the same pace I always did it.
Oh, yeah, work away.
See there, look. Put up so you can see out over the shoulder. Hello? So you can see out.
4 minutes. You hear me there, Roach?
I can hear you fine.
Lovely. 2 minutes. One, two, three, four, five. $60 seconds. Coming to life. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Welcome to Parnell Park for this Go-Ahead Senior 1 Football Championship encounter of St. Sylvester's and Skerries Harps. Skerries warming up to our right, Sylvesters to our left in the white jerseys. Should be a good encounter. Both teams lost their opening matches in Group 2. Skerries put up a good score against Castleknock, but still lost 112 to 217. Sills scored a couple of goals against All-Ireland champions Kilmacud Crokes, but didn't manage to get a result out of it. 14 points to 2-5, the final score. Crokes in action against Castleknock in our second game coming up a little bit later on. That throws in at 4 o'clock. But Coleman Goggins, what are you expecting from our first match, which throws in at 2?
Yeah, a little bit similar to the first game we had yesterday, Oisín. Two teams who need to get a couple of points on the board. So you'd expect them to go out looking for those points. I don't think they can afford to sit back and hope it comes their way. The 2 points are needed to give themselves a crack in the last game, particularly, when you're thinking that Crokes have to come up, for one of the teams here. They're going to take on the reigning All-Ireland champions on the back of the Castleknock Kilmacud Crokes game. So it's going to be a big ask for, Skerries potentially to get something out of that game. So it becomes a really important fixture for them here to try and pick up 2 points, because even if you're not in the shakedown for a quarter-final spot, you definitely want to try and avoid the relegation permutations that fall out at the back end of these groups in 2 weeks' time.
And after game 2, if you've lost 2 matches, or even are 1 from 2, depending on your opponent in the last game, that's when you maybe start thinking of the relegation playoffs. If you finish bottom of the group, you go into a relegation playoff. If you lose that, you're down. It really is that simple. Third place, well, that means that you won't progress, but it also means that you're secure for next season. Unfortunately, there is no Europa Conference League equivalent that we can send the teams into. The top 2 obviously march on to the quarter-finals. For Skerries Harps, they've got some decent players on show today, and they've had to make a couple of changes. Greg McEnany is in for Owen McGinley. It's not a bad replacement to have. He was part of the Dublin under-20 panel this year. Adam Fearon, who is also part of the Dublin panel, he was parading Sam Maguire along with Kieran Kilkenny, who will feature later, and Killian McGuinness, who wears number 10 for Skerries Harps today at the Aviva yesterday for the American football match. So he's been part of one big event already this weekend alongside his teammate Killian McGuinness. He'll hope to be part of another one here.
Yeah, they've some really good young guys coming up, Skerries. A lot of work can be done underage in terms of building out their squad. To have 2-3 fellas involved with a Dublin senior setup and collecting All-Ireland medals is a huge achievement. But it's trying to then bring that back to the club and see if you can bring the group which in terms of a club perspective. Up front in Stephen Smith, they've definitely got a score getter, and Ciara Murphy causes problems inside as well. So that's where the defensive challenge is for Sylvesters, but for Skerries is getting the ball early enough to them to give them opportunity to get scores.
Stephen Smith, another Dublin panellist. St Sylvesters, let's have a look at their team if we can. It's fairly stacked. Ross Hazley unfortunately misses out. He is replaced by brother Mark. John Peacock misses out at cornerback. He is now being replaced by Andrew Cunningham, who will wear the number 20 jersey. Jack Hazley was good against Kilmacud Crokes. I imagine he'll hover around the square if required. Alex Wright, we know all about him. Sean Guyden, another man who can kick good scores.
Yeah, absolutely. They've, again, a good group of young players that are coming through, and across the surname, certainly there's some famous Dublin names in terms of inside line there. Sean Guyden, a couple of guys on the bench as well who would have had players who are Dublin representation, I suppose, through their family. Look, I guess for St Sylvesters, given the club, they won a Dublin County Championship in 20 plus years ago, I suppose, at this stage under the guidance of Brian Talty Senior. They're probably one of those teams that you're expecting a little bit more from them year on year. They challenged. They were in a Senior B final last year where Vincent's got the better of them. So they're young, they're up and coming. It's trying to build towards, can you get to where the Nafinas are at, the Crokes, the Judes, and have that level of consistency in your performances. So hopefully from a Sylvester's perspective, that's where they're hoping to try and get to today, lay down a marker and try and build towards a quarter final, which would be a huge learning experience for them if they were able to do that.
Derek Roach, who's the co-manager of St Sylvesters, was actually with Skerries Harps for a while alongside his brother Kieran, so he'll know all about them.
Yeah, and his brother Kieran is out looking after Pats Donabate, who are playing in the Senior B Championship. So yeah, big connection across them all. He would have been with them for probably 3 years, I'd say, with Skerries. So they were very successful in terms of their tenure, Kieran, when he was involved with them as well. So yeah, they'll have a good idea around the young lad and the talent that's been coming through. Yeah, so it's all cards on the table and see who can get the performance to get a couple of points on the board.
There is action in O'Toole Park today as well. St Vincent's up against St Jude's. That should be a good encounter. That one throwing in at 2 o'clock as well. That's in Group 4. Yesterday in that group, Nafina had a win against Whitehall Columkill. So St Jude's are on 2 points. Nafina are on 2 points. Vincent's also on 2 points, but of course Vincent's and St Jude's yet to play their second game for Whitehall Colmkill. They're in that relegation playoff position. Sean Rocks, by the way, is also in for Skerries Harps. He is a late inclusion in the team. So we're almost ready to go here. It is Skerries Harps against St Sylvester's. Both, I think it's fair to say, Coleman Goggins need the victory.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's no good, you know, leaving it behind you today. You have opportunity to get 2 points. You've got to really attack the game.
And it is Skerries Harps who are wearing the blue. St Sylvester is wearing the white and sash. Trying to get his way through there is Killian McGuinness. We know how good he is. That's a shot from a very tight angle. If it goes over, it's some score, some opener. It hasn't.
Yeah, well, look, I think the chance was there. He was right to take it on, just pulled it on the wrong side of the goal. Clear again. We spoke about this yesterday, Oisin, a press on the kick out. Skerries right pushed up. There's one of the Sylvester's players who's free right behind midfield here, so they're putting a real squeeze on the kick out, seeing if they can maybe turn over ball and put a press on a lot earlier and a lot higher up the field, but there's certainly a long kick out on if it's available.
Into the middle it goes and into a crowd. Who's going to come away with it? That's like a maul that we would have seen last night, but it is Sylvester's who have it. Dan O'Leary cushioned it down the line here. Sean Guyden looking for the runner. That's Mark Hazley. Mark Hazley back outside to Ronan Palmer. Palmer goes to ground, gets it back to Hazley. Popping up is Aaron Lynch, trying to keep it alive. Does the clever thing about all he could do and put it out for a line ball. Well, he's saying it was a line ball.
Yeah, linesman has his flag up as well. Interesting, just there's been a lot of rain has fallen over the last couple of days. Just how the pitch cut up underneath Ronan Palmer as he was trying to break through from over on the other side of the field there. So soft enough pitch today as well.
Well, given the amount of rain that's fallen on it in the last couple of days, that's understandable. The pitch is still in very, very good shape. Here's Ethan Dunn, who is part of the Dublin under-20s this year. They're moving it through the lines. Greg McEnany, another one of that young squad. They've got so much young talent. Skerries Harps. McEnany handles it on the ground and it's a free out.
Yeah, disappointed from Skerries because the inside line was wide open. There was 30 yards of space. If they could have delivered a kick pass into the two guys inside, they chose to hand pass it. Sometimes it's okay to put boot to ball and see if you can create something. Maybe not like that when you're putting boot to ball, but like there is opportunity there. Well won inside.
Brilliantly won inside. It was Hazley. Oh. And it's wide. Oh, that's a poor miss.
Yeah, very poor miss. But, you know, just referencing obviously the early ball inside, but because of the way teams are playing now, they're so accustomed to hand passing that the first option is almost to go lateral or go left, go right, go backwards. Whereas sometimes if you look up, there is a pass on, and particularly there was plenty of space in front of the two inside for Skerries.
Scrambling after that, Adam Fearon. I wonder if he enjoyed the American football yesterday. I have to say, if they could shorten it a bit, I would watch NFL.
Yeah, I think even just the crowd around town and all that came with the game was brilliant.
Oh, well, I was actually driving away from here and saw those helicopters flying towards the Aviva. I really thought we were being invaded. They don't look nearly as imposing on a television screen as they do in the flesh. It's a free in, by the way, to Skerries Harps. That'll be taken by Killian McGuinness. Yeah, great crowd, great atmosphere, razzmatazz and all that jazz.
Yeah, someone was suggesting maybe they could do it for the All-Ireland final, a big march up O'Connell Street.
That's a good score. First of the game goes to McGuinness.
Yeah, great score. Look, it's so critical to have someone that can knock over those frees. They're hard won now. Championship football is tough. It's intense. Referees are given an advantage to keep the ball in action. So you really need someone who's, you know, brave enough to take them on. We've seen some great scores from goalkeepers last night. Nice to see one of the inside or forward line getting scores through free kicks today.
Hazley booms it down the line, finds Guyden. Guyden casually, almost too casually, he'll have to go after it himself. He does get there. Is that a free? Yes, it is. A bit too eager to go in there. Didn't really need to do it, O'Connor Flanagan.
No, but he's after raising a bit of noise around the ground here as well.
Paddy White with a good pass. Dan Brennan. Brennan looking inside. He's found Hazley. Great block. I think that was Ethan Dunn. And a free out.
Yeah, super block. Looked like he was, getting ready to stick one into the back of the neck. Hazley took it on really quickly, but smothered the boot, got the block, and then also picked up the turnover. Brilliant.
Fantastic block. Great block. Now can Skerries go down the park and get a score? McGuinness goes outside. Stephen Smith measures, shoots, and scores. It's 2 points to no score.
Yeah, brilliant. All comes from that bravery from Ethan Dunn to get down, get the block. Skerries pick up the break, and within 10 seconds, other end of the field, and Smith starts the scoreboard ticking over from play for Skerries.
Ethan Dunn looking to get there again. He does. He's made a big impact so far. There's a runner out wide. It's Adam Fearon. Juggled it well. Harry Dawson is there as an option. They didn't go to him though. Here's Kieran Murphy, who's got an eye for goal. Murphy. Rob McKee. Can they get him behind? They're trying. It's Sean Rocks. Fumbles, regathers, has plenty of time. Ethan Dunn. He'll go for it, O'Connor Flanagan. That is a wonderful score.
Yeah, great score from the centre back. Just how Skerries are pushed up. There's lots of bodies behind for Sylvesters. They're not getting out, not getting a press on the ball there. Maybe you're not expecting the centre back to take it on. Big score from Owen O'Connor Flanagan.
The standard has been set pretty high this weekend. Conor Guilfoyle scored to win it against Raheny last night, was pretty special. I found out after the game his nickname is Spice Bag.
Why is that? Because he likes salads, is it?
Exactly, yeah. Well taken by Killian McGuinness. Can they make it 4 on the trot? Well, the pass was well taken, the shot not so much.
No, but once again, look at all the time he had when he was on the ball. There's no one coming out. There's no one trying to get a block on him. You compare that to what Ethan Dunn did, the far end of the field. Dive on the boot, got a block. Skerries come up and get a score off it. Sylvesters is just a little bit standoff at the moment. From a management perspective, they'd be expecting to be tighter at that, putting much bigger press on the Skerries players.
Skerries win the primary possession again. Mark taken.
Yeah, totally dominating on Shields' kick out at the moment, putting a real press on it, getting a break on it, picking up those breaks. Lucky not to punish.
Yeah, it's a wide. What do St. Sylvester's need to do now?
Yeah, they need someone to work for a short kick out, or else they need someone to claim one out from a big one. But look at the movement outside. It's very static. It's forcing Shields to go long all the time. So it's 50-50 stuff.
Fearon got his hand on it, but fell kindly for Dan O'Leary. Now he can move. O'Leary kept his composure. James Cotter. Paddy White. He was fouled.
Yeah, he was fouled, but look, twice there, you just seen the difference in intensity. The Skerries players are charging in to put a press on the ball. Happened on this side, probably lucky enough to get away with it. Looked like he had caught the boot of Dan O'Leary when he had the ball. And then on the far side of the field, a similar type of press. As soon as the ball is in hand, they're coming and putting a press on real early, trying to get contact on. That's the difference in the first 10 minutes between the two sides. Skerries much more up for it.
That's a really good point, a much needed one. Sean Guyden.
Great score. Love looking at the technique of the free takers. No one trying to force it. It's just, it is all about technique and that flow through the ball. You sound like a golf coach here, but when it's done right, perfect. Sails over from Guyden. Great score.
Dunn pushed it out to McGuinness. He's got a man running in front. That was Dawson. He went across the park instead, looking for Kieran Murphy. It will break kindly here for Sean Rocks. Rocks is in on goal here. He's surrounded, gets his shot away, he's smothered. No foul, says the referee. Our referee today, by the way, is Sean McCarthy. Rocks had goal on mind there, I think.
Yeah, he did. I think he was smothered well. Sylvesters, there was enough bodies around the ball, but again, the long ball in created the problem for him, broken down by Murphy. Rocks came in underneath it. I don't think there was a foul in it. I think it was just guys committing to the block. So Sylvesters managed to turn it over. Can they get something from it?
Alex Wright, who scored a penalty against Kilmacud Crooks, has options. One of them is Hazley. Sylvesters have a man down. He's back up, gets a little push. Not sure if you're seeing that on camera. Here's James Cotter. Dan O'Leary. Dan O'Leary. Followed all the way. Good marking by Rob McKee. Dan Brennan has to go back outside where James Cotter is waiting. Cotter is going to go for it. And it won't turn back in. It might drop though. It does. That's a great catch. Can Hazley get it in? No, he can't.
Unlucky from Hazley. It was a bit of a hit and hope from Cotter that dropped in on top of him. Brilliant hands in around the goal to collect it and turn. Probably could have come back on his left side rather than turning on to his right, because it would have brought him closer to goal. Huge instruction coming from the sideline here for taking shots when maybe there's an option to get a pass on that's closer to goal. So did well to collect it in front of goal, but nothing coming from it this time. Sean Rock still not looking great at the far end of the field. His little hobble on him following the block that came on his half chance maybe for trying to get something on goal. Huge height on this kick out.
Well, then hope he can shake it off. That was a header from Palmer. And McGuinness, I beg your pardon. Charging through is Killian McGuinness. That needs to turn quite a lot, will it? It does. Fantastic from McGuinness.
Yeah, brilliant score from McGuinness. It took an eternity to turn from, but when it did, it dropped over the bar. Great score. Again, great work by Greg McEnany. He picked up the ball here, found the pass. Probably foul running across him, although it didn't look like the referee had given an advantage. And then just hung it up there for it nicely to drop over the bar. Great start from Skerries. Be happy with this opening quarter.
Hazley close it down to Paddy White. Alex Wright. Wright holds on to it. Paddy White. He's capable of shooting. Ooh. And that's a 45. That is one hell of a lucky break. Yeah,
you know, there might be a slight bit of a breeze. Certainly nothing that's impacting the shots into that goal end. Maybe out on this near side where we are under the camera side of it, that there's a breeze because there's not the shelter behind it. So don't think breeze was the impact there. Goalkeeper probably lucky that he was outside the post. Could have probably let it drop wide rather than put his hands on it. Gives Guyden another chance. He was very accurate from his first place ball. Not too far in from where he's going to be hitting this 45. Probably fancy it.
Guyden looking for his second. And getting us. They took their time to decide, didn't they?
They did. Great kicking. Similar technique to he had on the first score that he got. Great score. You know, from a Sylvester's perspective, nearly 50 minutes on the clock. 2 scores from place balls. Struggling really to make an impact from play.
They did have that kind of half goal chance. Well, they had 2 goal chances actually. Hazley blocked down for both. Scrambling back as Lynch. Might break kindly here for Stephen Smith. Smith has a man inside. That's Murphy. Smith! That is a brilliant goal. Stephen Smith.
What a goal, but look at the pick-up just before it. The little jab lift that took him away. Brilliant touch from Rocks. The knock came from the defender. The Sylvester's guy, you know, defender retreating. Probably could have bent on the ball. Didn't. Took a deflection. Rocks managed to get a touch and it dropped out to the left-hand side for Smith, and a little jab lift. Looked like there was only a half a goal chance on, but he backed himself and stuck it into the corner of the net. Brilliant goal for Skerries.
He really did back himself, didn't he? That's exactly what you want to see from your forwards, especially one as talented as Stephen Smith.
Big score, they've been better. It was funny on that kick out, Greg McEnany was very cross at Shane Rice that he didn't pick him out in the middle of the field there because he was free and unmarked. But the break broke work for Skerries and it's led to a goal, so he'll have to apologise at half-time at the very least.
Adam Fearon goes long. Kieran Murphy is well out in front. He's got time and space. He's also got support from Sean Rocks. He just goes himself and cushions it over.
And what a brilliant pass. We you know, boot the ball. Like, look at the travel 40 yards there in terms of the foot pass. Dead on accurate. Murphy out in front, loads of space. Sylvester's defender was reluctant to commit because of the fact that Rocks was making that run that could have led to a goal chance. Gave him loads of time, loads of space to pop it over the bar. Brilliant opening quarter for Skerries.
That's a good response to that Guyden 45. Hazley grabs it. Is he brought to ground illegally? Referee says no, play on. Skerries turn it over. Everyone stop for a second there. Play the whistle. That's why they say that. Fearon loves taking on defenders. An unusual pass, but it works out. Here's Stephen Smith. Rob McKee. Lovely skill. Planted the right, guided it over with the left.
Yeah, brilliant score, and it's lacking a bit of leadership for Sylvester at the moment. Huge problem. Even when that went wrong in the middle of the field for Hazley, he stood looking at the referee without trying to win the ball back. Skerries didn't pause, got the ball moving. Smith pops it on. Brilliant score from Rob McKee as it comes from the pass from Smith.
The St. Sylvester's, who came up last season. It's been tough for them so far this season. They've got a lot of talent, but they need to show that talent. They've given away a free.
Great opening, 1-6 on the board. Only one of those has come from place balls. So good from Skerries in the opening quarter. Loads of pace, loads of energy in what they're trying to do. Mentioned putting boot to ball. They're happy to try and mix it a little bit. Long ball in. Then the next one is a little bit of a shorter hand pass and score. Mentioned Breeze here behind Dawson. Maybe he fancies having a go at it.
And this is a replay of the goal.
Brilliant, the touch from Rocks, a little jab lift, pick up, looks like he's well covered, swings it onto his left. From Stephen Smith.
Great work between Smith and Rocks there. Really got under that one, Harry Dawson. It's 45. Despite the protests of Andrew Cunningham, who's not pleased with the decision.
Yeah, but just looking at it, it looked like it did come off his hand as he jumped to try and get a fist on it to knock it away. But, you know, I think there is a breeze behind Harry Dawson, but, you know, it's a long way out. You're forcing the technique a little bit, which causes the shot then to drift. Slightly closer opportunity for Killian McGuinness. One from a free, one from a play. Can he add a third score? This one at 45.
McGuinness moves it over the bar.
Great score. Once again, you know, backed himself from distance on 45. Mentioned, you know, Dawson probably got lucky at the 45 fell their way. McGuinness made no mistake when it came back to him.
1-3 without reply. It's going well for Skerries. Collected well by Ronan Palmer. Sylvester's need scores. Dan O'Leary. They found a bit of space. White into the path of Archibald. Hazley wants it. Archibald still going. He's in on goal. Archibald now absolutely surrounded and dispossessed, and he fouls it, and it's a free out.
Yeah, I think he fouled it before the referee gave the decision. He breezed by the Skerries tackler, Jack Smith, that occasion. Looked like he was on his right side, but then decided he wanted to come back on his left, then caused himself a problem because another Skerries defender came back to block him up. Definitely overcarried the ball. Good call from the referee.
Harry Dawson. This is the frustrating thing for Sylvester's. They actually have had goal chances outside. Great work again by McGuinness. Screaming for it was Fearon. Dunn was the target, but it's intercepted by Stephen Cunningham. Dan O'Leary kept his head. Ronan Palmer. Paddy White. Palmer. James Cotter. Dan Brennan. Stephen Cunningham. Carl Archibald. White. Archibald. Guyden. Short it goes to Wright. Switch it is a shout from Andrew Cunningham, who receives it. He's got a runner with him, that's Dan O'Leary. Instead gave it to fullback Sean O'Donnell. Moved off by Dan Brennan. Sean Guyden. And it's wide.
Yeah, look, there 20 minutes on the clock, no score from play. What seems to be causing a problem for Sylvester's is while there's a mass of bodies, you know, from the 45 up, they're not adding enough pace to the movement to give themselves opportunity of breaking the lines. We've seen in the previous move when Archibald was breaking the line there was pace to it. They're just a little bit reluctant or unable to add that pace at the moment, and therefore causing themselves problems because there's a big gap between the inside line and their half-forward line because of that absence of willing runners.
Sean Rocks. McKee. McKee with a bit of length on that hand pass to Al-Shami. Dawson. Murphy was probing. He was held out well by the defender.
Yeah, probably didn't catch it right, Harry Dawson. Maybe forcing it a little bit, looking for a score all around him. There's 4 of the starting forwards who've managed to get on the score sheet. Only himself and Owen Wilde who aren't. Now Wilde is probably playing a different role in terms of leaving Smith and Murphy inside. But all Skerries at the moment. Sylvester's really struggling to create anything from play. I know they've had those couple of half-goal chances.
Hazley gets it down to Roland Palmer. Good midfield work by Hazley. Alex Wright. Guyden's trying to sneak in behind, but Fionn O'Leary is covering him all the way. Here's Guyden, who gets a bit of time and space. Archibald back to Guyden. Again, they're dispossessed. Referee says play on. Hazley picks it up. It's a bit of a destruction derby. Gets it to White. And McGuinness dive put White off. That ball will stay in play, but it's grabbed back by Skerries Harps. Rob McKee is dispossessed somehow by James Cotter. Cotter takes his point. A much needed one.
Yeah, well done, James Cotter. Looked like that they'd turned it over once again. Cotter came in and snaffled the ball. I think great work defensively on a couple of occasions. Yeah, just Rob McKee didn't go hard enough for it. Opened the door for Cotter to knock it over the bar. And an important score first from play comes from the Sylvester centre back. Not sure if it's Alex Wright over who's injured. Is it? I think it was maybe actually it's Sean Guyden. I think. Yeah.
They're both on the red shade of hair, so I can understand the confusion.
I think
it is Guyden, yeah.
You know, just in fairness to Guyden, he probably took just an extra step out of when the chance was there before it, and he looked to just settle himself a little bit. That gave the Skerries defender a chance to get in and get a hand across it. I don't know whether he made contact with the ball, and I don't think he made contact with Guyden. It was probably just the fact that the ball went missing on him, or his technique was wrong, that he maybe twisted his ankle a little bit. Alex
Wright would probably argue he's more fair-haired than verging towards red.
Not getting into this discussion.
Well, I'm reddish, so I'm okay. I can talk about it.
I wish I had red. I wish I had hair.
Well, yeah. Sorry, I should clarify. What's left is African sunset. Getting up to it there with Stephen Cunningham, didn't make a clean contact. Fearon goes short to Dawson. Back to Fearon. He'd Sean Rocks with him, didn't go to him. Went outside instead. It's fumbled by Stephen Smith. Smith didn't give up on it, but it's Sylvesters who secured possession. O'Donnell to Palmer. Cunningham. They have a lot of players inside their own 45. Dan Brennan. It's 2-on-4 as you look up the park in a attack v defence sense. Archibald. We know he can move with the ball. Continues his run, gets it back. Goes for the option outside. Brennan. Good movement to Alex Wright. Wright, he's going to drop it in on top. Hazley is the target. Hazley! He's done it again. A really well-worked goal. A really important goal. Hazley did it against Crokes. Now he's done it against Skerries.
Yeah, hung. I wasn't sure if he was going to get a hand on it. I thought it was going to go over his head. Just looking to see his ball in, he in the square. But Jay got a great hand on it to drive it into the net. Big lifeline for Sylvesters. Have been struggling to really, penetrate that Skerries back line. Ball hung up perfectly. Lovely, big, strong hand drives it into the net for Hazley. Suddenly back in the game.
Good ball from, I think it was right into the square. It was red alert for St. Sylvester's, for Skerries, and Hazley got his fist to it. He was so effective at that against Crokes as well. Always looked a threat.
Such a huge presence. He's a massive man inside there.
And now they've won primary possession. Brave stuff from Archibald, who's fouled, and it's a free, and it's moved forward. St. Sylvester's, who are against the breeze, by the way, in the first half. Here's Alex Wright. White was running in behind. Wright to White. White goes to ground, free in, and should be another score for St. Sylvester's, who have just put back-to-back scores together for the first time. Now they should make it 3 in a row. and it was brought in even further. Skerries need to keep the discipline, keep their composure.
Yeah, just getting involved in stuff they don't really need to bother themselves with. They've had a great start in the opening 20-25 minutes there. Okay, the Sylvester's goal has come at a nice time for them, gives them opportunity, has swung the momentum a little bit. But it's just reverting to what they were doing. They were so good there for the opening 20. Revert to that, stay away from the niggly stuff that's maybe going on.
Guided. All of a sudden, just 3 between them.
Yeah, big 6-7 minutes there for Sylvester's, trimming the gap. 1-2 without reply. Skerries now under the cosh in terms of trying to win secure possession.
Ball goes loose, grabbed really well. Well done, Sean Rocks. Killian McGuinness. McGuinness is dispossessed, tries to win it back and doesn't do so. Great play by Palmer. An experienced head, Dan O'Leary. Michael Shield has to be careful. Lynch, back to Shield. That's really well defended.
Yeah, brilliant. Great work from Skerries, put the press on, but Sylvester's are brilliant there to work to this side where they've created a little bit of space for themselves.
James Cotter. Palmer wants it. Palmer gets it. Archibald. St. Sylvester's on fire at the moment. Here's Dan Brennan. Finds Hazley. Hazley trying to get away from El Shami. Finds Guyden. Guyden to Paddy White, who can score. Palmer. It's an unusual pass, but a good one to Dan O'Leary. White was making the run inside. O'Leary takes it on himself. Hazley is there again. Hazley grabs it. Hazley. It's 1-1 for Hazley.
Yeah, they have a problem back there, Skerries. Every time it goes in, he's caused a problem. You big guy, do you switch and put someone back on him from midfield? They've enough options around the place in terms of height to try and deal with that. Or do you try and put a press further out the field on the ball to not allow the balls to come in? But he's had a big impact on the edge of the square.
4 scores in a row for St. Sylvester's. That was one that their co-manager Daniel St. Ledger, the former Carlow footballer, will be very happy with. Rob McKee. Skerries haven't scored since, I think it's the 18th minute. Killian McGuinness. Can he end that wait? Killian McGuinness. That's a delicious score. That's a really fine strike of a ball.
Well, when you're looking to identify your sweet spot on the pitch, I think McGuinness has found his twice. He's sent them over from that similar angle, similar place on the field, and a similar outcome in terms of the effort he sent. Brilliant score and an important one for Skerries.
Lynch. It's broken out into a good game, isn't it? Lynch looking for White and finding him. White lost it. Good work by the Skerries defence. That's a foul.
Yeah, twice fouled. The initial contact was actually a foul too. Referee let that one run, so you can see why McEnany was getting a bit thick with the decision.
Fair on. Keeps it going. Had O'Connor Flanagan inside. Now uses O'Connor Flanagan as the outball. Fionn O'Leary. Stephen Smith. It's a good pass from Smith. Finds O'Connor Flanagan. And a vital hand in there from Cunningham. Because had that gone through, they were in on goal.
Yeah, massive. Rocks was through on his own there. Brilliant hand to prevent the pass going across because there was a certain goal opportunity if the pass had landed.
Alex Wright. Sean Guyden. Wright continues the run. Guyden did look but decided I'll go back to Dan O'Leary. O'Leary with the crossfielder. That was really well taken by Paddy White. Cunningham. Hazley's going to try and keep it alive and does. Goes back outside to his brother. And that's a really good block.
I'm not sure if Hazley stuck up a hand for a mark there that maybe wasn't called, but it was definitely outside 45 that the ball went into him. Well, when I say definitely, maybe it wasn't.
It's a good run by Fearon. He shapes, he shoots. He doesn't score. And if Smith had been a little bit closer there, maybe he could have got on the end of that. Shield did very well. Archibald. Earlier on, by the way, in the Senior 2 Football Championship, Ballybockle beat Naomh Marnogue 12 points to 9. At the moment, there is a game going on between St. Vincent's and St. Jude's. Hopefully we'll have a score from that at half-time.
Great work from Aaron Lynch there. Backed himself, popped the ball over the top, went looking for it again. Got the benefit of the doubt from the referee, but he's been pushing forward every opportunity he's got. The cornerback.
Cunningham. Right.
Central to a lot of the stuff Sylvester's do. Right, gets on the ball, always looking to spray passes left and right. Very
That's
influential.
a good pass by Archibald. Hazley. Just didn't quite catch it right. Mark Hazley.
Yeah, fourth wide, couple that have come Hazley's direction. He's been blocked. That one just pulls it to the wide. He's showing hard. He's getting the scoring opportunities. Little bit of gaps starting to appear in that Skerry's defensive line now. Sylvester's managed to find the players in space. Had struggled for 20 minutes, but the goal certainly has breathed new life into their setup.
And that's half-time. 1-8 plays 1-5. At one stage, it was looking very, very dark for St. Sylvester's when they were 1-7 to 2 points down. That was after 18 minutes. But since that, they've managed to score 1-3, while McGuinness has got a point for Skerries, so they lead by 3 at the break. What have you made of it, Coleman Goggins?
Yeah, brilliant opening for Skerries in the opening quarter of an hour. They were 1-7 to 2 points to the good. They were dominating in terms of kick-outs. They were letting the ball in early to their inside line, Smith and Murphy. So very strong, but sometimes I won't call it an opportune goal, but Wright's ball in and Hazley gets a hand on it, gives a breath of fresh air to Sylvester's. Last probably 6-7 minutes of the half, they were the better side, created a lot of scoring opportunities, albeit that Killian McGuinness probably fittingly wrapped it up, given he opened the scoring at the start of the game.
Let's have a look at the highlights.
Mentioned Killian McGuinness free in the opening couple of minutes to get the scores up and running. Here's this half chance maybe, or the opportunity at a goal. Ball came across to Hazley, spun quick, brilliant block from Dunn. The outcome of that was the ball broke out the field. Ball went into Smith and he turned onto his right foot, stuck it over the bar. Early on there were 2 points to the good, and they backed it up with a score immediately after that. Centre back coming through, backed himself here.
O'Connor Flanagan.
Great score. So the 3 points to the good, and it's all Skerries at that stage. This man, who's the first of his 2 or 3 place balls I think that he kicked in the opening half. Brilliant work there to get a block on the ball, and we were mentioning that early on. It was certainly Skerries who were demonstrating all that. Lovely hands from McEnany, freed up McGuinness, mentioned where he found his sweet spot. Great score, hung up in the air, dropped over the bar. Nothing anybody can do about that. Guiding second score then, was giving Sylvester's hope. But here's the big score that came Skerry's way. Lovely jab lift here from Stephen Smith. Looked like he was well crowded out, but somehow managed to find the corner of the net, and a brilliant score. At that stage it's 1-4 to 2 points, and it was all Skerry's then. Lovely early ball into Murphy, backed himself to knock it over, and Sylvester's are in big trouble at this point because they just can't get their hands on the ball. A couple of hand passes, throws it back again. This time it's the other wing forward who knocks it over the bar in the shape of Rob McKee, and then McGuinness again. Really great work out around the middle of the field for Skerries. And Cotter, in fairness to him, for Sylvester's, picks up on a breaking ball, and all of a sudden the momentum switches. Guyden pops it on to Wright hangs it up. They'd probably be working on this. Look at the height he gets up, taps his net, goalkeeper's rooted to the spot. All of a sudden it's 1-7, 1-3, and then the momentum switches. Guyden knocks over another one. And then what you want is a midfielder or somebody coming onto the play. No, we'll stick him in on the edge of the square. Jumps up, catches another monster ball. Scores 1-1 for his performance in the opening half. And then look, McGuinness, who's been brilliant throughout, 4 scores he's got. Finishes up the scoring for the half to leave it at 1-8 to 1-5. So Skerries will go in at half time, delighted with their opening half. They're leading by 3 scores, but Sylvester's have, what they were facing was a bit of a nightmare there after 20 minutes before they started to get themselves into gear. So the last 10 minutes, much better for them. They'll know that there's opportunities they left behind them in the opening half. They have the elements in terms of the little bit of a breeze that's blown into the golf course end behind them. Yep. So really set up for an interesting second half.
Well, the first of 2 live games is at half time here on Dubs TV. It is
Skerries, who lead by 3 points, 1-8 to 1-5. Coming up at 4 o'clock, Kilmacud Crokes in action against Castleknock. That one throws in, as I say, at 4. Those two won their opening matches, so you'd imagine whoever wins that game today is likely to go through to the quarter-final. It is rare that you'd win 2 matches and not get through to the knockout stages. Also at 4 o'clock today, in Group 3, Lucan take on Coola, while in Group 4 at the moment, St. Jude's are taking on St. Vincent's. We'll try and bring you a latest score from that if we possibly can. At half-time, it is Skerries Harps 1-8, St. Sylvester's 1-5. Don't forget, you can join the conversation via social media. Don't forget to hashtag GoAheadDSC. We'll be back for the second half. Stay with us. Welcome back for the second half of this go-ahead Dublin Senior 1 clash between Skerries and St. Sylvester's. Skerries lead by 3 at the break. Cummins, what are you expecting from the second half?
Well, look, you'd hope that Sylvester's have woken. There were maybe 20 minutes where they were looking to see what was happening, where Skerries took the game straight to Sylvester's early on. So Sylvester's probably need to react in terms of their first half performance. Certainly needs to be better in the opening 20 minutes. Skerries will be hoping that they can reset. Maybe the last 10 minutes didn't go the way they wanted it to go, but they're still to the good 3 points. They still have opportunities. Great Jest, there's a bit of a breeze blowing behind Sylvester's, and probably contrasts in what they're trying to do. Long ball to Hazley inside is what they're trying to work on all the time. Sylvester's, Skerries probably much freer in terms of their movement of the ball into their forward line.
And off they go, starting as they mean to continue. Dan Brennan. Dan O'Leary. Forwards making a burst out in front, but they choose to go backwards instead. Stephen Cunningham. Falls nicely for Andrew Cunningham. Back across by Paddy White, who's a busy wing back. Here's James Cotter. Scored 1 in the first half. Does that have the legs? Does that have the accuracy? No.
Yeah, and just when you're looking at it, maybe when you're inside, you're looking at Hazley for the long ball. When he's covered in terms of marking wise, then they're probably taking those pot shots out the field. Wasn't a million miles wide from Cotter, but it still drops the wrong side of the upright for a 5th wide. Interesting that during that play was Ethan Dunn who dropped back into the full back line to help out.
Skerries claims the possession back. It's good work from McGuinness. He's fouled, it's a free. Significantly more noise coming from the stands in the second half. That's well caught by Sean Rocks. Ball spills, Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith's trying to escape. And it's a free out.
Yeah, I think right decision on Stephen Smith. I think maybe Rocks was very harshly done by the fact that he didn't get a free. It didn't look like there was any tackle on the ball. We spoke yesterday briefly around what is the tackle in GAA, and a defined tackle. It makes it very hard to then get it right from the referee. Brilliant wing back by Jack Smith.
Jack Smith spots a man inside. He fumbles it, might fall here for the run of Greg McEnany. Another foul, free out St. Sylvester's.
Well, I was in agreement with the referee first time round. I'm not sure second time round. I think Smith could have been fouled. Took his eye off the ball, though. There was half a chance for a goal, but he took his eye off it when the Sylvester's guys were dropping back. A couple of early opportunities for Skerries that they've been unlucky not to get something from.
Carl Archibald finds Palmer. Palmer knew that the smother was coming. Dan O'Leary recycles it well. They bring it down the wing. Aaron Lynch fumbled and Skerries have it back. O'Connor Flanagan is there as an out ball. Referee says free out anyway.
Yeah, and there's a lot of animated figures on the side, and I do think Sylvester's more unlucky not to win a free there. Looked like Ronan Palmer was fouled. Initially, he was lucky he didn't get caught himself for fouling the ball, but I do think he was fouled in that move. Worked out now that Skerries have picked up a free much deeper to their own goal. But there were a couple of instances there. You can see that the referee is quite happy, Sean McCarthy, to let it be physical out there, which is no mean thing. But then you run the risk, if you're not giving frees, that the tackles become that bit more harder as the game progresses.
O'Connor Flanagan. Back it goes to Rice. Hazley was bearing in on him. He got it away. Here's Ronan Gagan. Gagan carries it well. Gagan goes short-ish. Kieran Murphy. Nice step. Greg McEnany. Greg McEnany pokes it through. It is Ethan Dunn. Didn't catch it right. Will it go out for a 45? No, it's kept in play. Well done, Andrew Cunningham. Foul committed by Murphy. Free out.
Yeah, I think it's Stephen Smith, and I think the referee probably going to book him here. Smith has been unhappy with a couple of tackles that came his direction. He probably went in harder than he needed to there. Sylvester's defender is on the end line, so he's going nowhere fast. So he might be lucky to avoid a card, but he's just getting a talking on the back of the couple of tackles that he was involved in where he got no free.
St. Sylvester's look to work it out. Cotter involved. Referee has spotted something off the ball. He's calling over Killian McGuinness.
Yeah, Archibald and McGuinness were just pulling at each other's jerseys there. Probably Archibald left his hand on McGuinness a little bit longer, and then McGuinness coming past him kind of, just gave him a nudge with his shoulder. So the referee spotted it and decided to give a free.
We've yet to see a score in the second half. Dan O'Leary. Dan O'Leary goes for it. Hazley was under it, but O'Leary had the legs in that one.
Yeah, well, you called him out a couple of times in the first half as a guy who was well able to get a score. He's delivered there for Sylvester's. Lovely score outside the boot. Small bit of a breeze, as you mentioned, behind him. Inside, Hazley picked up by Gagan and also by Ethan Dunn, so it's going to be hard to identify him as an option. Great score.
Great catch by Cunningham. Cunningham booms it inside, where it's 2-on-4 in favour of Skerries. And the 4 win it. No foul is the shout as Greg McEnany takes it out of defence. Always looks so composed on the ball, Greg McEnany. You can understand why he's at that county level. Slips through the fingers there of O'Connor Flanagan, but as Shammy was waiting. Greg McEnany having a word with the referee as he jogs past him. That's he's wise beyond his years, isn't he? Fearon.
I know he had an advantage, but he was certainly fouled a lot earlier in the move than the advantage came, and he probably feels that it's not coming as easy to him in terms of coming out with the ball.
Skerries probing. Ethan Dunn. Dunn loops the pass off. Greg McEnany. McEnany. That one dropped short. Keeper does well. Kieran Murphy trying to get it back. We will play on.
Yeah, the little step he does is fantastic. Buys himself space. Very similar to a move that Brian Howard has that buys him space. This little dummy step that he does. McEnany does the same. Shows left, goes right. Brilliant to create the space. Just the finish wasn't there. Certainly be a yellow card here. Tackle was high around the neck.
Fionn O'Leary. Paddy White will take the free. We'll have to go again. Referee speaking to Greg McEnany.
Yeah, and the ball being brought up as well. Obviously somebody said something. Now comes well inside shooting distance. 3 in the first half, looking to add to a 4th.
Sean Guyton and St. Sylvester's look for their second point without reply in the second half. Guyton. That's a beautiful score.
Great consistency in his free taking, brilliant score. Scores, versus the first half, certainly limited in this second half, but great start from Sylvester's too in the spin and from place balls. Very strong, Sean Guyton.
Greg McEnany will try and get under that. He steals it. It's brilliant. Well, he didn't steal it. It was kicked his way. Murphy potentially the target. Smith trying to get there as well. Smith gets out in front. That's a really smart turn by Smith. Smith, is he being fouled? He is. They'll play on. Will they need the free? Yes. The shot from Sean Rocks was smothered, but he knew that the free was coming anyway.
Yeah, when Skerries can get that ball away, there's a huge space in front of Murphy and Smith inside. Smith did brilliant to win that. He was the smaller man when it was coming across there, but he did well to get his body in front, collect the ball. There was a free coming his way, so he decided to play through. Rocks, maybe there was a pass on ahead of Rocks. There was another Skerries player inside, didn't manage to see him. Give Smith a chance to get a score. It's been a barren 8-9 minutes. They've dropped a couple short into Michael Shields, but this is the first opportunity really to stick one on the scoreboard.
Stephen Smith steadying himself. That's good from Smith.
Yeah, brilliant score. Never deviated once it left his boot there. Knew exactly what he was doing to knock it over the bar. Give Skerries a chance. They were very successful at pushing up on the kick out, or they brought a lot of success to them. Easy out ball for Shield. Sylvester's away again.
Well, at one stage, Skerries led by 1-7 to 2 points. St. Sylvester's have made a bit of a comeback in this game. Just in case you're only logging in or tuning in or whatever it is you say for YouTube. Here's Lynch, White. Coming up at 4, Castleknock against Kilmacud Crokes. The group will look a lot clearer after these two games. Archibald has White as an option behind him, well, kind of to the side. Also there's James Cotter. Cunningham didn't catch it right.
Yeah, a couple of those efforts that they've sent wide on the wrong side, you can see that or they can probably feel there's a bit of a breeze blowing behind them, so you're taking it on the back of the breeze, helping you out a little bit. But probably the wrong option. There's plenty of opportunity to recycle, move the ball that little bit closer.
It's a battle of the giants there, isn't it? Swept up well, brilliantly by Dan Brennan. Wright tried to guide it back to Brennan. Wright now has it himself, has Guyton there. Couldn't get it to Guyton. A boot in from Ethan Dunn. Greg McEnany on the chase, as is White. McEnany wins the race. And the two of them have words after the ball went. Here's Owen Wild. Wild didn't start for Skerries, but he has come on. This is a good galloping run behind O'Connor Flanagan, and Stephen Cunningham nips in and steals it back. White. Well, a bit like last night, it became very frantic. There was a lot of turnovers. That's happening here as well. The game I referred to is Nafina and Thomas Davis. You can go back and watch it on Dubs TV if you missed it last night, but not before this one ends. Connolly. Good score from Dylan Connolly.
Yeah, great score from Dylan Connolly. Came in at half-time there. He adds his name onto the scoreboard. A lot of, as you mentioned, frantic stuff there. A couple of turnovers. Ball was in Skerries' favour. They need to protect it a little bit better. Hand it back to Sylvester's and they cough up a score relatively easy. Skerries not set up to defend it.
One between them again. And remember, this can end in a draw. I clarify that once or twice a half because we've got people from all over the country, all over the world tuning in. They wouldn't necessarily all know how the system works in Dublin. It's groups of 4. Top 2 go through. Bottom go to relegation playoffs. And third keep their status for next season. Wild. Good ball by Wild. O'Connor Flanagan. O'Connor Flanagan spills it. Well, it looked potentially like he threw it. He was actually fouled, and then something was said, and the referee has pretty much made it a shoe-in of a score.
Yeah, I'm not so sure he was fouled. I definitely agree with you. I think he did throw the ball, but the referee deemed that there was a foul, and then Sylvester's clearly weren't happy with it, so it's a banker score now for Smith to knock it over, leaving with 1-3, given his what he's put over the bar so far at this stage. But Sylvester's probably unlucky there, and that goes back to the point he was making about the referee. What is the tackle? In some instances there you can see similar stuff going on where there's no free given. He decided it was a free that time, despite the fact that it looked to us from our vantage point that he was after throwing it. Smith pops it over the bar, as you'd expect him to.
You would have expected him to do that even from the original position, but that just made it absolutely certain. Clean contact. That's a great catch. What a catch that was from Ronan Kagan. He sets Rob McKee away. McKee has plenty of options. He might take on the shot himself. Goes outside. Greg McEnany. Stephen Smith. He's a sniper. Stephen Smith doesn't hit the target this time.
Yeah, he's unlucky. Bought himself space with the dummy hop. Turned back on himself then to finish off his left foot and just pulled it wide. Brilliant from Ronan Kagan before that. Great take in the middle of the field. We haven't probably seen enough of him. Don't mean enough of him. He's been back trying to do a job on Hazy. Therefore, he hasn't had maybe the impact out the field that clearly he's able to have.
Hazley. Skerries turned it over again. That's a really good ball. Picked the pass so well. Owen Wild. Wild. It was a good dive by Cotter to put him off, and Wild kicked it wide.
Yeah, probably a card going to come here. I think once again Greg McEnany, after playing the ball, was hit late on it. A couple of times it's happened to him, so I think the referee has decided he's had enough of it. He's going to try and speak to. On this occasion it's obviously Paddy White.
So White gets a yellow. Cunningham does magnificently well. Away they go. Guyden. Can Guyden get up? No, he can't. Was it a foul? You seem to think so.
Yeah, definitely. He's won the ball out in front and then his legs go from underneath him. He didn't jump on the ground, so certainly something happened. Just giving Skerries a chance. Well won back, brilliant.
Brilliant work. Rob McKee dispossessed. Andrew Cunningham back to White, back to Andrew Cunningham. Wright is outside. Cunningham continues to run, gets it back. Wright is inside. That's not who they go to first time. They do now. Wright can't keep his shot down, having been set up by Stephen Smith.
Yeah, a couple of times looks like the pass is on a little bit earlier. They tend to maybe just hold on to it that bit longer, but Wright did well to come on to the end of that move to get a big score for Sylvesters. Trims the gap to one more.
Having been set up by Dan Brennan rather than Stephen Smith, but a good score for St. Sylvesters.
Adam Fearon leaving the field there. He's a loss for Skerries, was carrying the ball very well for them, had a good first half, maybe a little bit quieter second half.
Yeah. Robbie Clinton is in. Dunn is the target. Dunn does get it. McKee. McEnany. O'Connor Flanagan. O'Connor Flanagan took too many steps, which is a pity because I actually think he got that one over the crossbar.
Nah, he was in two minds. He was going to take it on himself, or McEnany was coming behind him, screaming, looking for a pass. He got caught in the two minds. Just take the extra couple of steps. Referee gave the decision against him.
Dan Brennan with a good foot pass. Free in St. Sylvesters and a chance to equalise.
Yeah, it was a tough 20 minutes for them in the opening half, but they've been so much better since they got themselves back into the game. They've been very competitive. What's been great across the game here is that because there's been such a squeeze on the kickouts, there hasn't been too many short. The feel and the competitiveness around the middle of the field for breaking ball, high catches. There's some huge men out there. Hazley, Dunn for Skerries. It's been an intriguing midfield battle, really.
St. Sylvesters will play Castleknock in their last game. Skerries will play Kilmacud Crokes. And we are all square. That was a magnificent kick from Dan Brennan.
Yeah, great score. His first of the day. Difficult angle for him, but stuck it over the bar. No bother to him. Sylvester's probably in the ascendancy at the moment. They're putting a squeeze on the kick out again. Seem to have bodies everywhere. The white shirt certainly dominating in the space.
We're level for the first time since the game started. Sills looking to go ahead. Brennan, he was closed down, couldn't take the shot first time. Did get a bit of space, tries one now and misses.
Yeah, they've snatched at a couple of efforts across the game, particularly second half. That's their third wide. They've probably been the better team in the second half. Certainly Skerries have had one or two, or number of opportunities, but Sylvester's probably that little bit more consistent across the second half. But still, heading for the 10 minutes left to play, game very much in the melting pot.
Who's going to win this? White got his hand on it, but it goes to blue rather than white and green. That was a good turn and a good run by Owen Wild. He's got McEnany inside. Wild still going. Wild. Eventually, they pushed him out, but he did recycle it well. Robbie Clinton. Killian McGuinness. Can he draw that one in? He can. That's a magnificent score by Killian McGuinness.
Yeah, brilliant score from McGuinness. He just curls it over again with his left foot. Very able in terms of taking those scores when he gets the opportunity. Big score for Skerries, his fifth of the day.
And a big 10 or so minutes left for these two. Well, 11 plus actually, but we're approaching that kind of final 10-minute mark. Michael Shield.
A change of tactic for Sylvester's. Hazley's out around the middle of the field now, probably playing centre forward or thereabouts. They're not looking for the long ball in anymore. It probably hasn't paid off second half, or they haven't had the opportunity to do it. Those couple of wides I mentioned that they've kicked came from 45 yards out, where they weren't able to use Hazley as an option inside. Hence he's further out the field now, trying to get involved.
Andrew Cunningham gets it back from White. Cunningham. Hazley. White. Guyden. Stephen Cunningham. Lots of space on that far side as we look. Ronan Palmer uses that space. Dan O'Leary. Dan O'Leary. Is that going over? Is it going to drop, or is it going wide? It's option number 3.
Yeah, he got a great score earlier on in the half. Similar kind of angle off the outside of the boot. That one not so clinical. A wide, a fourth one again for Sylvester's second half.
Oh, he spliced that completely.
Well held in the stand, though, you have to say.
No, fantastically so. That's a little bit loose. Grabbed though, bravely grabbed, it has to be said, by Sean Rocks. And it's a free out.
Yeah, I think the free was probably with Rocks long before the free was given. Again, referee just let things develop a little bit when he doesn't need to. Rocks had secured the ball, looked like he had then been fouled. So just, when you're allowing stuff like that to develop, it causes problems for the referee. Sylvester's, our Skerry's on the move here.
El Shami gave it inside. Smith trying to slot him through. Smith goes to ground as he fouled. Referee says, well, he's got the whistle in the mouth. Play continuing. Greg McEnany, he's playing advantage, I think. Comes back the way of Rob McKee.
Yeah, I think borderline stuff from Aaron Lynch, but he did brilliant to get back on Smith, because he was after throwing a shape that opened up in front of the goals. But in fairness to Aaron Lynch, did well to get back, get a hand across him and spill the ball off Smith.
Ethan Dunn in acres of space. Instead it's sprayed out. Jack Smith. Smith has Dunn inside. Smith might take it on himself. Jack Smith! Wide on the near side.
Yeah, it opened up from third wide for Skerry's second half. More on the wrong side of the post almost than on the right side. But again, just how they're creating space, quick feet, opens up the gap. Just unlucky not to get something off that.
Owen Wild battling to get it back, he can't do so. Stephen Cunningham. Aaron Lynch. So good to carry it. Paulie White is out wide. He can go short here. He does. Dan Brennan. Dan Brennan. Again, it might drop. Is Hazley there? He is, but he couldn't get to it. It was really well defended.
Yeah, it was. It was a little nudge as well as the ball was dropping there. Two big fellas in front of the goal. Neither of them managed to get hands on it, but they've big bodies back there. We mentioned, we haven't seen a huge pile from Ronan Gagan because he's back there doing the job on Hazley, who's moving in between midfield, drop back in again, full forward. He's not quite sure where he's probably supposed to be. Trying to be a master to two areas on the field and struggling really to have an impact second half.
O'Connor Flanagan. Could have gone to Jack Smith, chose not to. Greg McEnany, not a bad option either. McEnany had Stephen Smith, didn't go to him. McEnany still going, wants it back, doesn't get it back. Falls for Kieran Murphy. Murphy always good for a score or two, and he rattles the woodwork.
Great move, Skerry's, quick hands again. McEnany central in the move there, throws that dummy step again, opens up the space. Brilliant hand pass that opens it out to Murphy. The angle is awful in terms of where he's coming from on it, but I'm not sure if it's the post or it hit the stanchion. Either way, it was a half goal chance. They get nothing from it. Game still very much alive.
Skerry's making a sub. Going off for Skerry's Sean Rocks, who has absolutely left it all out there.
Yeah, he's played very well. He's been, picked up a lot of that, did a lot of the donkey work, picked up a lot of that breaking ball. Not afraid to put his head in where others maybe mightn't put their boot. Has had a good game.
Donald Cotter was assigned the number 8 jersey for this game. That jersey is ripped, so he's wearing 28 instead.
Yeah, brilliant from Hazley there. Came out hard, won the ball. He's such an imposing presence. He's a massive man on the field. That's a free as well there. That's not given.
Donald Cotter. That's a good first play for him. Oh, and then he fumbled it and lost it. He's still battling for it, but Sills have it back. Played along the ground. Free to St. Sylvester's.
Yeah, no, referee is right there. Cunningham did touch it on the ground, but again, there was a foul before that wasn't picked up on.
Yep. Free to Skerries, I should say. Jack Smith. Jack Smith steps inside Dan Brennan. Cotter. Palmer. Looking on as McGuinness gave it to McEnany. Back to Killian McGuinness. He could let one go from here. He does. And why not when you can take scores like that?
Yeah, all day he's been just given too much space. It's very clear early on that he's having one of those days where if he gets on the ball, he's going to back himself to stick it over the bar. His 5th score of the day. Almost each one getting better as he scores them. Brilliant stuff. He's been very visible both in terms of the work rate, but also then getting on the end of moves to add on to the score sheet as well. Brilliant score.
Brennan. Weiss. Cotter. Rice. Andrew Cunningham. Andrew Cunningham surrounded by blue, and they dispossess him. Fine work by Skerries Harps. Rob McKee looking on as Jack Smith got it to his teammate. That teammate was Ronan Gagan. Now running out of defence is Killian McGuinness.
Yeah, brilliant work from Skerries. They're all behind the ball, though. They need to try and get out, give themselves options.
That's a foul committed on Owen Wild. Here's Killian McGuinness. Jack Smith. Smith getting away from Cunningham. O'Connor Flanagan. Will it drop and stay in play? Skerries hope so, but it goes wide.
Great work by Skerries to win the ball back and then come up the end of the field. Probably just the wrong man got on the end of it. Drops wide. They're 4th wide of the half. 10 minutes, I think, since Sylvesters have managed to get a score. At that stage, it was 1-10 apiece. Skerries have got 2 since to lead by 2. Clock is ticking away from them. They need a score.
St. Sylvesters don't need to panic yet. They don't need goals yet. A point here will do nicely. Outside from Dan Brennan. He is absolutely going for that. That's Dan O'Leary. It's going to drop. Hazley will try and get there. It's fisted out. Greg McEnany. Was he fouled? Well, he bravely went for that. He put his body on the line. He collided with Dylan Connolly.
Yeah, he was very brave in terms of going for the ball. There looked like there was a small nudge on the back of Hazley. He was going to jump for the ball. Then it was batted out. McEnany went for it. It's a bad hit. He's bending for the ball. He needs to be protected in that instance. Certainly a free, although it didn't appear to have been given at the time. But he's bending, head down to the ball, and he's tackled square on. So it'll definitely be a free out. It's a bad hit on McEnany.
You can see in the second half when Hazley is around the square, he's just getting that bit of a bump before the ball drops.
Yeah, and obviously very visible there. There was a little nudge. Dunn did brilliant to get a hand on it then to knock it out. McEnany backed himself to go and win it. Yeah, but you're trying to disrupt the momentum to go forward and catch the ball. So if you can manage to give a little nudge at the right time, it's certainly very helpful. And a blood injury, McEnany's probably just maybe in terms of nosebleed. Referee is making sure, wanting him to leave the field, certainly. Be interesting to see what way this is restarted now. Is it a Skerries ball or is he going to hop the ball?
It will all add to the injury time. Whether or not that's a blood sub or a permanent sub, I'm not sure, but for the moment, Greg McEnany.
Yeah, blood sub I think was the indication. Yeah, okay. It's just a matter of have they enough time to get him cleaned up and good to go again.
Well, it's Owen McGinley who's in. Good young player, Owen McGinley. Skerries Harps trying to make sure of it, trying to get the scores that will see them home. Donald Cotter. McGuinness. McGuinness, no one anywhere near him.
Yeah, and they need scores. I know that you know, natural instinct is to sit back, but they have to come out. You have to push. You have to look for the ball. They need to at least turn Skerries over once to create a goal-scoring opportunity. Or there's still time, certainly, to be a few minutes injury time. No question about it. Great work again from Roach. He's been brilliant in the tackle. He's very strong defensively for Sylvesters.
Sylvesters get a bit of a break there. Now they're on the counter-attack. Sean Guyton was well covered by cornerback Fionn O'Leary, so they didn't go to him. This would be a great score if it was to go over, which it does. What a strike off the boot of Dylan Connolly.
Yeah, brilliant. His second of the second half. Dylan Connolly, great score, backed himself, coming all the way across the field. Probably a late shove on him as well, but manages to stick it over the bar. And just as we hit the 60-minute mark, point game, be a big press on this Skerries kick out, you can be sure about it. Dylan Connolly with a great effort there to narrow the gap to the minimum. Need to find another one.
Well, that's Ronan Gagan, who's down at the moment for Skerries Harps.
Yeah, McEnany's back on the field there, so he obviously got cleaned up.
Well, up next for Skerries is Kilmacud Crokes. Castleknock will play St. Sylvester's in the last round of fixtures. Castleknock playing Crokes today at 4 here in Parnell Park. You will be able to watch that game live and for free on Dubs TV. Remember, you can join the conversation on hashtag GoAheadDSC. More information on fixtures and everything else on the Dublin GA website, and of course through the social media channels. And they update the tables really quickly after these games if you want to check them out. We will update you ourselves, but if you want to actually look at them, because there's a bit of detail between score difference and all that, by all means go to the Dublin GA website. Going off the field is Ronan Gagan.
Yeah.
Owen McGinley has stayed on, Greg McEnany is on, so obviously McGinley, who was the blood sub, is now staying on. Stephen Cunningham caught it. That's a fantastic catch. Out it goes from Brennan. Alex Wright, who can't score from these kind of angles. Alex Wright to equalise. Alex Wright! That's brilliant from Alex Wright. It's a huge, huge score.
Yeah, it's a beauty from Alex Wright. Hung it up, swung it over the bar. Brilliant score from Alex Wright. Great response from Sylvesters. They were a long time without a score, 13 minutes, but after getting two inside 2 minutes. Brilliant response. Still a couple of minutes on the clock here. You'd expect probably somewhere in the region of 5 minutes for the referee, so still time for a winner for either side.
2 in a row for St. Sylvester's has them level. At one stage in this game, they looked out of it. They were down by 8 points in the first half, but they went on a good scoring run towards the end of the first half, and it got them back into it. Skerries not done yet. McGuinness, speaking of scoring runs, that's intercepted, but he was fouled. James Cotter just kind of throws it away from where the free was awarded, but the referee is eagle-eyed and brings it back. Here's Ethan Dunn. Jack Smith. He's in acres of space, isn't he, when he receives the ball? Robbie Clinton didn't take it on himself. Jack Smith. Stephen Smith. Ethan Dunn. Owen McKinley.
Yeah, we were here yesterday, similar scenario, draw game and injury time. Someone backed themselves to knock it over the bar. Kilfoyle for Davis.
That's a good take and turn. Stephen Smith puts them in front.
Brilliant, brilliant move from Smith there. So good throughout the game. Finds the hole, punches it through. Uses his fist to knock it over the bar. Great move from Skerries. They shifted it from left to right to open up the field for Smith.
The bulk of the noise is actually coming from the Skerries bench. They are really getting behind their team. And they've been doing it all, well, especially in the second half, but all game. James Cotter. Dan Brennan. Paddy White. Was he fouled by Jack Smith? Referee says no, it goes the other way.
Yeah, he was looking to buy a free. In fairness to him, he held the ball out, you know, trying to get someone to come into contact with him. Probably did get a bit of a shove, but also was adding steps as he was on the move there. And the manner in which he had the ball out, probably referee was tempted to go Skerries' way rather than Sylvester's way. Could be a big turnover.
It's a free out. Skerries, can they finish this one off? Robbie Clinton, who played a big part in Stephen Smith's point, the point that could prove to be the winner. Robbie Clinton has Smith as an option. He's got another man in behind. Well taken by Donald Cotter. Cotter has found Smith, or O'Connor Flanagan, I beg your pardon. It falls kindly for Cotter. Clinton, good save. Comes back to Clinton. There's another chance for them. Clinton looking for a goal when maybe he could have just fisted it over. Clinton bottled up. Here comes a shot from McEnany. It's off the woodwork and falls for Shield. Sylvester's still alive just about.
No, unbelievable passage of play there last 30-40 seconds. Goal chance there. You thought it was a banker. There was 3 Skerries bearing down on Shields in goal. Bad foul. Silly decision there. But the ball came back out. There was almost an opportunity getting involved in the sideline.
When I say Robbie Clinton should have just fisted it over, it's a lot easier to say that up here than it is to do it out there when you're surrounded by 2 or 3 defenders. He actually kept his composure. And the mentor who got involved is going into the referee's book. And he's being told to leave the sideline.
Yeah. It was a bad foul on the sideline. You know, certainly you can see, but Skerries are trying to just slow it down, not give Sylvesters a chance, but there's still time on the clock here.
Sylvesters have the time. There was a couple of injuries in the second half, so we do have a lot of injury time. We've played a lot of it. 7 already gone. Dan Brennan onto it now. Dan Brennan looking inside for Palmer. Palmer kept it alive for his team. White is the target. It's intercepted. That could be that. That is that. Skerries Harps have got a huge, huge win. A 1-point victory against St. Sylvester's. 113 to 112, the final score.
Yeah, what a finish, rip-roaring finish. You know, they were 2 points down. Didn't look like they had enough in them to get back into the game, but in fairness to them, they dug it out. 2 scores in 2 minutes, and it was 112 apiece after 61 minutes. Required someone to step up. He was very visible throughout the game. Stephen Smith punched a hole, stuck his fist to it to knock it over the bar. They had a chance after that, a goal chance that they left behind them. Probably could have easily taken a point. But there was time given to Sylvester to try and see if they could find that equaliser. Coming across the field, the pass just wasn't good enough. Ball gets turned over and makes an easy decision for the referee then to blow up and call full time. Big result for Skerries. Both teams, as you had said at the outset, still searching their first win. So it gives Skerries a nice platform going into their final game, knowing that they've 2 points already banked.
Bottom of the group goes to the relegation playoffs. 3rd place stays in Senior 1 for next season, and the top 2 go through. We'll talk about the group and the standings and all that in just a moment. But first, let's have a look at the highlights of the second half. A very entertaining and hard-fought second half. Dylan Connolly kicked 2 scores. This the first of them.
Yeah, great score to get things up and running. They were 1-8 to 1-5 down at half-time, and we suggested they needed to come out early to try and get the things moving for them. By the time Stephen Smith knocked over a score, Skerries were still to the good by 2 points. Sylvesters grew into the game as it went on, were much better at finding holes. Charging through right, knocked it over the bar, half chance goal, but it was a great score. His first from play, that was 1-10-1-9. And then that equalising free that came in, his first score of the day from Dan Brennan. Tit for tat between that and McGuinness, though. Nothing about his performance. 5 scores he got across the course of the day. Every time he got into that position where his left foot was the option he was looking for was brilliant. Great find for Murphy here, bearing down and goal. Let's see where it ends up. Yeah, I'm thinking stanchion rather than post, so it was probably wide before it hit. But again, McGuinness was so heavily involved. Every time he got on the ball, he was backing himself to deliver, and he kept doing that for Skerries, kept the margin of ticking over. Here's from McEnany, got the hit, bending for the ball. Maybe a 50-50 effort, but he came out the worst of it. Skerries did well to break away with it. There were 2 points down. Sylvester, they were looking for a bit of inspiration. What a score. Knocked over the bar his second after coming in as a half-time substitute from Dylan Connolly. And then right place, right man, Alex Wright. Brilliant score. Tie game, and you're thinking, can someone find a winner? Skerries had possession. They were over on the left side. Came back onto their right side, punched a hole. Look at Smith charging through, sees the gap. Fist the ball, knocks it over the bar. That's the winning score, 113 to 112. They did have the goal chance. Might you see when the ball breaks here, I think there's at least 2, if not 3 inside, bearing down the goal. Shield is brilliant to get a block on it, even though it comes back out again. Opportunity to fist it over the bar, goes a begging from Robbie Clinton, and then the chance was for Sylvesters, but they just couldn't engineer anything with it. McEnany off the upright. And they're deserved 113 to 112 winners. Brilliant opening 20 minutes, probably set up the victory. They led by 1-7 to 2 points. Sylvester did brilliant to get back into it and to tie it up a couple of times across that second half. But Stephen Smith found the winner. Brilliant result for Skerries, and it's they that move on with 2 points heading for the final group game.
so I can tell you about the group, and you can have a look at it yourself on the Dublin GA website in a while, and it is updated very, very quickly. Kilmacud Crokes have 2 points. Castleknock have 2 points. Now Skerries have 2 points. Sylvesters have no points. Skerries and Sylvesters have both played 2 games. Castleknock and Kilmacud Crokes about to meet in both of their second matches. You'd imagine the winner of that is pretty much guaranteed their spot in the knockout stages. And then after that, it gets very fuzzy going into the final round of fixtures. The final round of fixtures, by the way, will see Kilmacud Crokes take on Skerries and Castleknock play St. Sylvester's. So anything could happen on that last day. I won't even begin to speculate. There is a game going on in O'Toole Park. We have struggled to bring you a scoreline from that match. Hopefully we'll bring you one at the start of our next broadcast. St. Jude's taking on St. Vincent's in a big game there. There's another game at 4 o'clock in O'Toole Park where Coola are taking on Lucan Sarsfields. That's in Group 3. Top of that group at the moment are Thomas Davis, who've got 4 points from 2 games. Raheny are second on 2 points from 2 games. Davis beating Raheny last night in a dramatic encounter. You can watch that back on Dubs TV. Coola and Lucan, the bottom 2 at the moment in that group, meeting at 4 o'clock. That's it for the moment from Parnell Park. A good 1-point victory for Skerries Harps. Who knows? It could be the difference between staying Senior 1 and going down for them, or it could springboard them on to the quarter-finals, because they will fancy a rattle off Kilmacud Crokes in the final game. They've got some great talent. They're more than capable of getting a result in that match. The final score is Skerries Harps 113, St. Sylvester's 112. That's it for the moment. We'll be back shortly. Don't forget, Kilmacud Crokes against Castleknock is live at 4 o'clock on Dubs TV, so please join us for that.